Hello everyone, thank you once again for joining me on this episode of Microsoft Security Cloud. My name is John Kayode Abu, people call me John K, and my job sits at the intersection of product security and software engineering. So for this series of videos, I'm actually walking through Microsoft Security Cloud and Azure platform. What I'm doing is that I'm bringing the two sides of the eye together, explaining the tooling, systems, the categories, the groups, and the umbrellas under which each individual solution fall, and how they integrate end to end, and how you can get an idea, an understanding of the capabilities and the functions that these tooling solutions can. So I had like two previous videos, and one of the first one was a general overview of the landscape. The second one is Microsoft Entra solution. And now I want to take us to the Defender's product. Now, Microsoft Defender is an extended detection and response solution, and at the same time it has the capability of cloud native application protection platform, threat protection. Now in this service we have it has the XDR capability, the Defender for endpoint capability, the Defender for identity capability, the Defender for Office 365 and the Defender for. Now in my Microsoft licensing for this class, you will have access to, I will show you how it works around XDR. I will show you how it works around the Office 365 and for the cloud, and I will do some other ramp up around the endpoint and for identity. It might not be full, but at least you have an idea of what is going on. And on that, then I will keep moving. So today I'm going to walk you through some of the ways I want you to think about, not just like showing you around alone, but let me just paint it. So imagine your team gets an alert in the morning. A user's laptops in Toronto office just ran a PowerShell script that downloaded a payload from an external IP address. At the same time, that user's account started querying Active Directory for domain group membership. And 10 minutes later, there was a lateral movement attempting to file server. Attempts to a file server in your data center. Three signals, three different parts of your infrastructure. In most environments, those three alerts lands in three separate consoles with three different teams responsible for each one. But by the time a human correlates the three and recognize this is one coordinated attack, the attacker had 45 minutes of uncontested access. That is exact problem Microsoft Defender is built to solve. Today is Microsoft Defender. I am going to walk the entire product. Good. So every session, what it does, what problem it solves, and what the baseline look like when it's fully deployed. Azure Security, last episode, I went into Entra. Like I said, I went into Entra, links in the description. But here, I want to talk about Defender. Now, one important thing before we start is I'm running off the 5E5 trial for this workflow. So I want to be very transparent about what that means, because your portal might look different from mine depending on your license. I will call out every single session where my trial license does not cover full capability, so you know exactly what you are seeing, what you are missing, and what license unlock it. No surprises. So that is the what I want to put out there. So if you are using the license you are using will determine what you see and what you don't see, and it's very important that that is sorted out. Now, the major thing I want us to look at here is let's look at the environment. If you look at admin center, a particular under the admin centers, and when you click on it, what you see is that should be the link or the location of your Defender. Now, when you come to Defender here, you will see that you can connect to a workspace. Yeah, because you can connect to a workspace. We don't have a workspace space here. But if you look at this, one thing I want you to look at here is get your SIEM and SDR in one place. Now, in Defender, we have a exposure management. Exposure management is more or less like your vulnerability. And we have your asset. Under your asset, you have AI agents, you have cloud, you have applications. If you have the enterprise license, we have your device and some other functionality here. So here, if you look at it, Sentinel, you see Microsoft Sentinel is a threat management, it's a content management, it's configuration, but that is Sentinel. So I will come to that later. Now, when you come here, you will see your identity. Now, even this identity, it has some functionalities that are missing here. I just want you to know that, okay, if you are using based on license, you will have maybe more available options. So that is just what I want to get across to you there. Okay, so before I open, I've opened the portal. Let me look at what I have here on my note. So Microsoft Defender is not one product, so let's get that clear. It's a portfolio of threat detection and response capability organized under two distinct umbrellas, both accessible from one portal at security.microsoft.com. Umbrella 1, Microsoft Defender XDR, Extended Detection and Response. This covers your Microsoft 365 attack surface, endpoint, identity, email, collaboration, and cloud application. Think of it as a security for everything your employees touch every day. Think of XDR Defender as the defender for everything that your employees touch every day. Like it's like your utility, so it defends your utility tools, your collaboration tools, all those kind of things, your laptops, your mobile devices, everything. That is what it defends. That is under the umbrella 1. The umbrella 2, Microsoft Defense for Cloud, the Cloud Native Application Protection Platform, or CNAPP. This covers your Azure, AWS, CP infrastructure, virtual machines, containers, databases, storage, APIs. Think of it as a security for everything you build and run in the cloud. So the Microsoft Defender for Cloud is a defender for everything you build and everything you run in the cloud. Same portal, different attack surfaces. Together, they give you one unified view of the entire security posture. Now, as I open the portal, and you can see here, like I was saying, you will see that this is, if you look at other asset here, this is cloud capability. These are application capabilities. But under this asset, we're supposed to have asset as well. But because of the license, we don't have that. So these are the capabilities that come with that. So here, so now I'm going to walk you through some of these capabilities, and we're going to look at them. So we look at exposure management. So exposure management is one of the most strategic, important sessions in the portal, and where Microsoft has been investing very heavily, for some time now. The concept behind it is most security programs protect what they already know about, but your actual attack surface, a complete set of entry points an attacker can use, is always larger than what you know. Forgotten assets, shadow IT, misconfiguration, misconfigured permissions, code level weakness, exposure management maps all of it and model it from an attack perspective. So that is what exposure management does. We have there. So if you look at it here, you see that we have a secure now. So these are the information there. You see initiative. The most importantly is the attack surface. Then the map I was talking. So you can see now I don't have identity. I don't have device. I don't have cloud. But what it does, in the real sense, is that it maps the attack devices from identity from cloud and begin to give you a kind of unified information that will help you in dealing with your security exposures. So attack surface, continuous discovery of your internet facing asset, domains, subdomains, IP addresses, expired certificates, outdated softwares. This is Defender EASM feeding into the portal. So it's like I said, it's a unified portal that give you that insight. Microsoft Security Exposure Management, this built an exposure graph, a relationship map of your asset, identity, like I said, vulnerability, surfaces. Tens of thousands of vulnerability, it showed you, fix them. So it shows you what is wrong, the vulnerabilities, the map, how they, correlate, how they relate with one another. And under this, you have your vulnerability management, risk prioritization, and stuff like that. If you look at here, you can see data connector. So you can see how you can connect them to Defender you can connect to your endpoint, your identity, and your cloud. It's already connected. I'm just showing you that. But these are the a kind of interface that kind of tell you, okay, this can be connected to and can connect to your service now, CMDB, Rapid7, some of other security toolings. You can see it connect to your Wiz. Use Wiz before, and the Tenable, Palo Alto Prismas. Other security toolings can integrate with it, and it can manage your exposure across this landscape. Be able to bring information together and tell you how well you are doing, how secure you are, and what needs to be done. So the next thing on the list here, if you look at it, I've talked about exposure management, and now I want to go to investigation and response. So this is the operational heart of the portal. If exposure management is about knowing your risk before an attack, investigation and response is about handling it when something happens. Incident is where the cross-product correlation I described in the intro actually lives. When Defender detects a phishing email was clicked, and Defender for the endpoint detect a malicious process on the same user's device, and Defender for identity detect lateral movement from the user account. Those becomes one incident with one correlated attack timeline mapped to the MITRE ATT&CK framework. All affected entities linked together. One team, one investigation, one place. Alert, individual detection, waiting for triage. And that is that. Now, if you look at what that happened in that workflow, is something that used to be happening in 3 different systems and required 3 different teams to solve that, is now happening here under the investigation and exposure. So you can get an incident, you can get alerted, and from there you can pick it up. So that is that under that. So with Office 365, I can see incident and alert, but they will only contain email and cloud apps. The full power of incident correlation, where the email alert and endpoint detection and identity are merged into one incident, that requires Defender for endpoint and Defender for identity to both be activated. So that's what I just want to say. So what we are seeing here, whatever we see now under investigation and response, is going to be incident or information from cloud environment, not from endpoint, not from identity, and not from obviously not from the other aspect, which is our email, which is our email. So which we only come from our email. So like what we have here can incident and alert, but they will only come contain email and cloud app signals. So what I'm seeing here is only email and app and cloud apps. So, but the other ones, like the one of endpoint and the one of identity and the the one of identity, they are not feeding into this system because they are not activated on this subscription. So then I move into what we call threat intelligence. So threat intelligence. So after this, the next one is threat intelligence. Okay, so threat intelligence surface Microsoft Defender, or let me say surfaces Microsoft Defenders threat intelligence directly in the portal. Threat analytics, the most universally available part of this session. Active threat campaigns and malware families created by Microsoft Threat Intelligence researchers with specific context for your organization. Yeah, are you exposed to this area? Have you seen any indication in your environment? What is your migration coverage, against these techniques? So if we go here and you see Intel engagements coming up. So basically, because I don't have data here, you might not, I don't have, much here. But if you look at Intel management as well, you see the need for the SIM workspace. Yeah, I'm using to account for this, so it might not come that easily. But the point I'm trying to make is that under this threat intelligence, this is how you stay ahead of just responding. You are not waiting for a hit. You are attacking, you are asking whether the techniques in active campaign today are something your current control will catch. Intel Profile and Intel Explorer, you can see the two there, Intel Profile and Intel Explorer. Yeah. Intel Profile and deeper adversary intelligence, infrastructure mapping, and indicators lookup, search an IP domain or what have you. So if you look at that, these are the functionalities delivered by the threat intelligence. The analytic is there. The analytic, we don't have it here, but but it's one of the capabilities that it offers if you ever deploy this and you have your enterprise license activated. So, but the bottom line is that threat intelligence surfaces Microsoft Defender threat intelligence directly in the portal. That shows that you are aware of the likely threat that will happen to your environment, and you can begin to prepare and ask questions and make some effort around that. So then I move to asset. Asset is your unified inventory of what you own, what is running, and what is being managed across your estate. In my portal right now, which is Office 365 E51, what I can see under this folder, because I've said that several times here, is only applications, cloud, and agent. So if you look at it, so let me your application inventory, every cloud application your organization is using. Then the cloud, your cloud resources, asset inventory from Azure, from AWS, from GCP, every resources, you will see them there. Then agent, this is genuinely new and important as of 2026. So, but it's generally for agent, now first class security asset in your portal. So that is that for that, and then I will move to the other one. So if you look at it, we actually have a agent here. So it's a new feature, but I also tell you that these are assets too. So agent is being regarded as an asset in 2020 as of July. So then I move to Sentinel. So if you look at it here, there is Sentinel here, and so this is Sentinel, and you can see threat management, content management, and configuration. So the cloud native SIEM and SOC. So like I said, so Microsoft Sentinel, the cloud native and SOA platform, is now a first-class section of the Defender portal, not a separate portal, not a hyperlink that takes you somewhere else, a menu item in the same navigation. So if you look at it, here is here. So under it, we have threat management, we have content management, we have configuration, like I said. And what is so important here is that, and there is a hard deadline you need to know about. After March 31st, 2027, Microsoft Sentinel will no longer be supported in Azure portal. It will be available only in the Microsoft Defender portal. If your organization is using Sentinel through the Azure portal, you need to plan the migration now, not the deadline. Now, one of the reasons why, when I started this video, why I classify Microsoft security into Microsoft, heavy, or let me say Microsoft specific and Azure specific, is that I see that Microsoft is kind of trying to separate some toolings. The tooling can be used, across but there are two umbrellas within the Microsoft cybersecurity or Microsoft security space. It's always like the Microsoft, and the Azure, and that is why this training is dividing the two. If you look at the first slide, in the first video, you will see that I did some level of demarcation and separation there, just for us to have a very better meta picture. So together, Defender XDR and Sentinel forms a complete SOC platform. Defender XR handles real-time detection and automated responses across Microsoft Offices. Sentinel handles the broader, SIEM function, ingesting log from non-Microsoft, sources, on-premises systems, other cloud providers, and third-party security tooling. So it allows you to put all those things together. So when SIEM, which is Sentinel, ingest and aggregate log and audit files, and that also and correlate them. Then when you have intelligence from your XDR and from your app, then you can see that with this kind of unification, you have a classic SOC platform. So let me go to identity. So the identity section contains two sub items, coverage and maturity and tools. This is an important decision to understand. This section is not where you investigate identity threats. This section is your defender for identity deployment. So here, what you get is more or less like your maturity, your health check of your identity. How is your identity doing? So that at the end of the day, if you look at it here, we see enable service principal protection for identity providers, enable SaaS application discovery using Microsoft Defender for clouds. So you can connect Microsoft 365. What we have here is end-to-end identity coverage across premises, cloud, SaaS, and partner environment. But what do you benefit? What you benefit is like you are having a visibility into your identity, and you have like a way of knowing the health check of those identity infrastructure. So I'm moving to emails and collaboration. So let's look at our email. Okay, we have email and collaboration here. We have a lot here. We have reviews, Explorer. But I'm just going to give us something that we can hook our knowledge into. So now we get the session. I can show you fully and completely, because this is exactly what Office 365 E5 includes. Email collaboration is powered by Defender for Office 365 Plan 2 and covers Exchange Online, SharePoint, OneDrive, and Teams. So if you look at my license, it might not here, my license covers Office, So that is why every functionality within the Defender platform that is made for Office and collaboration will naturally flow here. So I practically have virtually everything that is enabled, that can be available in Defender, under the auspices of email and collaboration. So your email security posture dashboard, active threats, top targeted users, malware families detected, phishing trends. You have investigation, explorer, and review. You can see investigation, so you can get everything here. You can have explorer here. You have review here. There is no functionality that should be here that is not here under email and collaboration, just because of my license. So, but in the case of asset, we couldn't get the full functionality because my asset was not meant to take care of endpoint and identity. So that is that under email and collaboration. So then we go to cloud apps. So if you look at cloud apps here, you see we have cloud discovery and the other one. So cloud apps is powered by Microsoft Defender for cloud apps and Microsoft Cloud Asset Security Broker. The core problem itself, your employees are uploading corporate data to cloud application. Your security team has never reviewed personal cloud storage, AI tools, productivity app, files, your environment, and your DLP tools never see it because the traffic goes directly from browser to service without touching your perimeter. So Cloud App discovered this by analyzing your traffic and log, and cataloging every cloud application your user access. It scores each app for risk across 50 attributes, where the data stored. Does the vendor have SOC 2? Can you enforce MFA? Their data retention policy? You now have visibility into what is completely dark. So let me break this down. Data leaks, and sometimes people transfer data, or maybe they use data in a way that kind of bypass our normal infrastructure, especially when it goes through the browser. So the cloud apps, the Defender for cloud app, what it does is to make sure it monitors this particular attack surface and be able to report back to you if there is any risk factor that you need to address. So that is what we have under the cloud apps. Then after that, we go to cloud security. So here we have cloud security, and now cloud security is where Microsoft Defender for cloud, the CNAPP platform, surfaces in the Defender portal. This section covers your Azure, AWS, and GCP. So here it's kind of very straightforward. This is where you connect to your cloud platforms, and they'll be able to monitor and be able to do anything security or the capability that Defender can bring to the table. This is where you have it done. So and that the capability we can see here is still boiled down to my license capability. So you might have something different in your own environment. So we have another one, SOC optimization here. SOC optimization is a new and often overlooked. It gives you recommendations specifically about improving your security operations overall and efficiency. So that is what it does. So it's like the name implies. If you have a kind of fully functional environment with a lot of workload, you will get recommendations here on how you can better your security posture. And report and systems. So here, down here you can have some reports. It's just for you to have information as to what is going on in your environment, and the report give you pre-built security report across your estate, threat protection status, device health, compliance, email. Talk about it. Every available report you can find here, and you can consume them and see how they help you in your environment. So Now, let me close this with things that makes everything I just walked through greater than the sum of its part. Each session generates signal, but the power of Defender is not in the individual signal. It is the correlation engine that ties them together into one incident across your entire estate. When Defender for Office 365 catches a phishing email, click, and Defender for Endpoint dictates a PowerShell script run on that user's machine 60 seconds later, and Defender for Identity detects that the user account query domain admin group membership 10 minutes after that. Those are not three separate alerts. They become one incident, one Manta attack mapped, attack chain, one timeline, one team working, one investigation. That is the scenario I described in the intro, and that is the answer to give. And that will be the end of this video on Microsoft Defender. It's a wide solution, comprises a lot of things, but I was able to just do an overview to let you know the capability available, the business problem itself, and how you can leverage it in your next deployment. So see you in the next video. Thank you.